Ice Cube, because Ice Cube has come out and given everybody some brutal truth. Sorry, Angel Reese, the $5 million offer was only for Caitlin Clark.
Personal, but it was business. That's all it is, business. Y'all gonna make it personal, though. What happened to Miss Angel Reese? She's all in Indiana during All-Star, and her Reebok campaign, come to your trap, take over your trap.
Y'all are not ready for what just went down in the WNBA universe. Angel Reese, the self-proclaimed Bayou Barbie, just had her entire world come crashing down faster than a house of cards in a hurricane. We're talking about a complete and utter meltdown that has sponsors running for the hills, deals getting canceled left and right, and one absolutely brutal reality check from Ice Cube that basically ended this girl's whole career trajectory. In a single interview. I'm talking about the kind of industry fallout that makes you question everything you thought you knew about star power, marketability, and what it really takes to make it in professional sports. This isn't just drama, people. This is a full-scale corporate evacuation from the Angel Reese brand. And honey, it is messy. But before we dive into this absolute chaos, let me paint you the picture of how we got here. Because this story is wilder than anything you could make up. Just months ago, Angel Reese was being positioned as the next face of the WNBA. We're talking about marketing executives literally lining up with briefcases full of cash, ready to make her the brand queen, the fan magnet, the absolute marketing goldmine that was supposed to revolutionize women's basketball forever. She had the swagger. She had the championship ring from LSU. She had that whole trap queen persona that was supposed to be the perfect contrast to everyone else in the league. Companies were seeing dollar signs, social media was buzzing, and Angel was living her best life as the it girl of women's basketball. But then something happened that nobody saw coming. Well, except maybe the people who were actually paying attention to the numbers instead of the noise. Caitlin Clark happened. And when I say happened, I mean she didn't just enter the scene. She absolutely obliterated everything Angel thought she had locked down. We're talking about a complete and total shift in the entire landscape of women's basketball, where suddenly all those sponsors who were throwing money at Angel started looking at their spreadsheets and asking some very uncomfortable questions about return on investment. The first cracks in Angel's empire started showing up quietly. Industry insiders began whispering about campaigns being reevaluated, about marketing budgets being redirected, about executives having closed-door meetings where Angel's name was coming up for all the wrong reasons. But nobody was talking about it publicly until Ice Cube decided to drop the nuclear bomb that would change everything forever. Picture this. Ice Cube, the legendary rapper turned business mogul, gets approached by TMZ at Lax. Now you know when TMZ catches you at the airport, they're not asking about the weather. They wanted to know about his big 3 leagues offer to Caitlin Clark, that absolutely insane $5 million deal that had the entire sports world talking. But here's where it gets absolutely devastating for Angel Reese. When they asked Ice Cube if he made similar offers to other WNBA stars, his response was so brutally honest, it basically ended careers on the spot. "We only offered it to Caitlin Clark," he said, with the kind of matter-of-fact delivery that hits harder than any screaming headline ever could. Why? Because sponsors told us she could unlock millions. The others? I can't. Boom. Just like that, the man with actual street credibility and business acumen just confirmed what everyone in corporate boardrooms had been whispering for months. Angel Reese wasn't worth the investment. But wait, it gets so much worse. Ice Cube didn't stop there. He explained his plain business philosophy. "I'm not in the business of losing money." And when someone with Ice Cube's track record of turning entertainment into empire says you're not worth the risk, every single corporate sponsor in America just got their answer handed to them on a silver platter. The logic was devastating in its simplicity. If Ice Cube, who understands both street credibility and business success, says she's not worth it, why would any corporate sponsor risk their marketing budget on her? The timing of this revelation couldn't have been more catastrophic for Angel, because guess what was happening simultaneously? Caitlin Clark was taking over Chicago, Angel's supposed territory, while Angel's Reebok campaign was quietly fading into background noise. Caitlin was receiving the kind of reception usually reserved for Michael Jordan himself. We're talking about authentic fan hysteria here. People, crowds running toward her, screaming fans autograph lines that lasted for hours. And the most brutal part, this wasn't some staged promotional event with paid extras. This was real, organic, unfiltered fan devotion that money literally cannot buy. The internet had absolutely no chill about what they were witnessing. Comments started flooding in with devastating accuracy. Caitlin Clark came to her trap and took it. Period. The geographic irony was not lost on anyone Chicago was supposed to be. Angel City, based on all those preseason expectations and marketing projections. Instead, it became the site of Caitlin's absolute coronation, with the streets literally overflowing with people treating her like basketball royalty. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, the corporate meltdown was reaching epic proportions. Sources close to multiple agencies revealed that campaigns tied to Angel were being shelved, some indefinitely, others completely scrapped. Marketing executives were pulling out calculators, analyzing engagement metrics, studying ROI projections, and coming to the same terrifying conclusion across the board: we're not sure she's worth a bet anymore. The enthusiasm that had once surrounded Angel was evaporating faster than morning dew. Not because she lacked talent, but because the numbers simply weren't supporting the hype. The contrast with Caitlin Clark's business proposition was absolutely devastating. Ice Cube's $5 million offer wasn't some wild gamble. It was a calculated investment based on proven results. They were offering her $500,000 per game for just 10 total games, which represents LeBron's return on investment. She had already demonstrated her ability to generate crowds, attention, and revenue. Meanwhile, Angel Reese didn't receive an offer, a conversation, or even a negotiation. Complete radio silence. For fans who had bought into the whole "it girl" narrative, this was the harshest possible reality check. But the absolute most painful part of this entire collapse was watching Angel's strategic response, or should I say, her strategic absence, right when Caitlin Clark's popularity was exploding across every platform imaginable. Angel seemed to vanish from major matchups and nationally televised games. Now, to be fair, there were legitimate concerns about a back injury, but the timing raised eyebrows across the entire sports media landscape. Fans started speculating about whether this was strategic avoidance of direct performance comparisons. Because honestly, who wants to risk being outdrawn on live television when your brand is already hanging by a thread? Ice Cube's team had reportedly identified engagement drop-offs even before these missed games started happening. They were seeing quantifiable decline, less hype, reduced traction, diminished spark. When you're in the business of selling tickets and generating sponsor revenue, these patterns represent red flags bigger than WNBA arenas themselves. The people with the actual checkbooks were running the numbers and coming to conclusions that no amount of social media drama could overcome. And, speaking of numbers, let's talk about the statistical reality that was making corporate executives break out in cold sweats. Caitlin Clark wasn't just popular. She was historically dominant in every measurable metric that matters to sponsors. Top jersey sales. Check. Sellout attendance everywhere she played. Double check. TV ratings that doubled and sometimes tripled. When she was on screen, triple check with a cherry on top. Her drawing power extended far beyond her home games. She was filling arenas on the ROAD. turning every venue into her personal showcase. Compare that to Angel Reese's numbers and Wash A, and the picture becomes crystal clear why Ice Cube made the decision he did. Angel had solid jersey sales, sure, but nothing history-making, even more telling. She couldn't fill LSU's arena to half capacity, even a fair-winning and national championship. All that social media drama and viral content wasn't translating into the kind of measurable impact that makes sponsors open their wallets. Ice Cube's decision-making process was simple. He analyzed the actual figures and concluded there wasn't sufficient draw or excitement to justify the investment. The industry quote that started circulating perfectly captured the brutal reality. Men lie, women lie, but numbers don't. Sponsors need guarantees, not guesswork. They need consistent delivery, not occasional viral moments. Caitlin Clark had proven she could deliver every single time. The central question for Angel wasn't about her talent, everyone acknowledged. She could play, but whether all the drama and image management was helping or hindering her progress. Chicago's reaction and Ice Cube's statements were making the answer increasingly, devastatingly clear. What we're witnessing now is Angel Reese going through a full-blown identity crisis. And I'm not talking about the romantic comedy kind where she discovers herself through a series of cute mishaps. This is the real deal. Industry-wide discussions about her post-sponsorship media strategy. Executives questioning investment decisions and the emergence of one absolutely brutal question that's been making rounds in sports media. Who is Angel Reese without Caitlin Clark in the picture? The criticism has been savage but accurate. Sports commentators and industry insiders have been pointing out a pattern where Angel seems to attach herself to Caitlin at every possible opportunity. Instead of establishing herself as an independent court rival, she's been operating more like a media shadow, always positioned in relation to someone else's success rather than building her own narrative foundation. Here's the thing that makes this situation so tragic. Angel Reese absolutely has the capability for independent success. She's a legitimate WNBA starter with her own story potential, her own unique playing style, her own personality that could absolutely captivate audiences. But every single time she references Caitlin Clark or positions herself in comparison, she's implicitly admitting that she doesn't have enough independent spotlight to stand on her own merits. Corporate sponsors have been watching this pattern with growing concern because brands prefer predictability and consistency over drama and chaos. Angel's approach of providing fireworks when they wanted a steady glow was exactly the opposite of what marketing executives were hoping to invest in. Her Reebok partnership had been a full persona over performance gamble, betting on image and social influence rather than measurable athletic impact. When the numbers didn't match the promotional noise, sponsors started requiring stability over viral inconsistency. But here's where this story could take a dramatic turn for the better. Because believe it or not, Angel Reese's situation is not irreversible. The door for redemption is still wide open, but it requires a complete strategic pivot that abandons the comparison-chasing game and embraces authenticity instead. She has legitimate talent, undeniable presence, and a personality that could absolutely work in the right context. The problem has never been her basketball skills. It's been the strategic decision to position herself as the anti-Caitlin Clark instead of optimizing her own unique identity. The harsh mathematical reality that Angel needs to face is that Caitlin Clark has established permanent centrality in the league as the face, the ratings driver, and the ticket generator. This isn't personal. It's just market positioning based on measurable results. But instead of continuing this collision, of course, Angel could find her own independent lane where she doesn't have to compete for Caitlin's specific market position. The league would actually prefer multiple distinct stars rather than overlapping obsessive competitors fighting for the same spotlight. The brutal truth about cultural takeovers is that you can't take over territory that was never, originally, yours to begin with. Chicago's reaction to Caitlin Clark wasn't about stealing Angel City. It was about authentic fan connection that transcends geographic expectations. But this crisis could actually become Angel's greatest opportunity for public reckoning. Brand reset, and the realization that impact matters more than image. Caitlin Clark's effect on women's basketball has been real, measurable, and undeniable. Angel Reese now stands at a crossroads with a clear choice ahead of her. Only she can continue down this path of comparison and corporate evacuation. Or she can pivot toward authentic star power that generates revenue instead of clout chasing that ultimately fades into irrelevance. The talent is there, the opportunity is there, but the choice is entirely hers to make.